Hello, this is a check on the midterm practice test. We already covered some of the answers in class, but you might not have gotten all of them. So I'm going to give some quick explanations for the test answers here, the practice test answers. If you still have some questions, of course, visit me in my office if there's still time. We can take a look at them. So the first five, there are the answers, and we already talked about them in all of the classes, so I'm going to skip that one. Getting down to number 6, the test was so confusing that he just gave up. In that case, the test confused me. I was the one who was confused. Remember, the ing is the object or the person giving this emotion, giving this feeling. So the test was confusing. Number 7, I'm looking forward to seeing that movie. It's a special expression. Look forward to something. And if you want to have an action there, the gerund is what you use with that one every time, not the infinitive. Remember, the to here is the preposition. So after a preposition, we like to have the gerunds, not the infinitives. Moving down to the next 7 on part 1. Please let me know whether you can come or not, or if you can come or not. Whenever you see these the words or not, that's a good clue that you want this kind of clause marker, the whether or the if. They are perfect when you're trying to, when you have a clause which is saying this one or the other one, to do this one or to not do this one. Number 9, the movie Titanic, which was directed by James Cameron, made a lot of money. Now, for this one, of course, which is correct because it is modifying a thing, the movie Titanic. Now you might ask, why not that? Why is that considered incorrect here? The reason is because of this. This is a non-restrictive clause. It has the commas that tell you it's a non-restrictive clause. In the non-restrictive clauses, that kind of, by the way, here's some bonus information, that kind of clause, we just never like to put that. The restrictive clauses, it's fine, of course, but not in the non-restrictive clauses. If it's a thing, you have to say which. If it's a person, you have to say who. Okay, number 10, I remember the theater where I saw the movie. Theater is a place, so where works perfectly here. This one can work also. I remember the theater in which I saw the movie. Now, remember, if you use where, you don't have to worry about any prepositions. So you don't have to say, I remember the theater where I saw the movie in. You can just leave out the preposition and you're fine. That's why they're quite nice. When is the same way if you're talking about time. You don't need the preposition there. But if you use which or that, they can be used, but if a preposition is necessary, the preposition needs to be there. So I remember the theater that I saw the movie in. That would be okay. But we don't have in here in the sentence, so you can't do that. I remember the theater which I saw the movie in could also be okay. And then, of course, this choice is good. We can move in front of which, and that will work. We can't use that with that, in with that though. That doesn't work. Number 11, I began to write, I began writing. Began is one of our special verbs that can be followed by a gerund or an infinitive, no change in the meaning. Both are perfectly good options in almost every kind of sentence. Number 12, the woman who is wearing the black dress is the widow. The woman wearing the black dress is the widow. Now, obviously you can see that this is just one of our nice restrictive clauses, one of our nice adjective clauses describing who the woman is. Now, wearing here is a reduced adjective clause. It's actually a phrase. Remember that when you have these adjective clauses, it is possible to take off the marker, take off the be verb, and just only leave the ing, or actually whatever the verb is there. and that'll be fine. The woman wearing the black dress is the widow. That's an option. Number 13, I told him to give the assignment to me. Told is the kind of verb that really needs to have a person before you go to the infinitive. And number 14, waking up early is easy for me. To wake up early is easy for me. Gerund or infinitive, both of those are okay in the subject position. All right, so that's part one. Part two, here are the answers for that. Now again, we already talked about the first 5 in the class there. So I'm not going to go through all of those. I'm going to jump down to number 6. Where are my keys? I remember putting them on the desk, but they aren't there. Now remember, if it is followed by the gerund, it means you remember this action that you did in the past. You remember doing this. You have this memory of putting the keys on the desk. So that's why the ing is good there. I remember to put them on the desk doesn't really make sense. Remember to do something is talking about your duty, your task, your job, something that you have to do or you should do. This is not that kind of context. Number 7, the window is broken. The passive tense for that. Number 8, I usually avoid taking the elevator. Avoid is followed by the gerunds. Number 9, I don't know whether to listen to him or not. This might seem a little confusing to have the infinitive here, but if you remember, in our adjective clauses chapter, we have, actually this is the noun clause chapter, we have the option to take the noun phrase where you have something like I or you or she and should. I should, you could. And we can take that out of the sentence and replace it with the infinitive. And the sentence is a reduced clause in that way. I don't know whether to listen to him or not is okay. And then number 9, I warned you not to go. It's going to be the infinitive because it's warned. Warned is followed by the infinitive, and that's how you make it negative. All right. Going on to part 3. We talked about the first 5 already, why they are correct and incorrect in the class. Let's go to number 6. What we need to do now is to stay calm. This is correct. Here you have a nice noun clause as your subject. Yeah, and everything will work there just fine. Number 7, my boyfriend is the one closing his eyes in the picture. That is correct. Now again, here we have the reduced adjective clause. So here, this would be the long form of that sentence. My boyfriend is the one who is closing his eyes. As you may remember, we can reduce this part of the clause down to closing. Just leave closing there. Take out who, take out is, and just leave the verb as it is. Number 8, Ted doesn't know whether or not he will go with us. That is correct. That's the correct noun form there, or the noun clause. Number 9, I am difficult to stay awake in class. That is incorrect. The better way to say that is to make this your subject, to stay, but then that's a very common way to restructure that. It is difficult to stay awake in class. It is easy for me to walk to school every day. The for me is kind of an optional thing here. I left it out. And that phrase there is a very good way to say that. Number 10, taking exams are very tiring to me. This one is incorrect. It's a nice gerund subject. All that is fine, but that is the problem right there, the are. You only have one subject here, taking. That's your head of the noun phrase there. So taking is very tiring to me. Taking exams is very tiring for me. Don't get confused by the rest of the gerund phrase there. Don't get confused by that. If it's just one gerund there, you're going to have is. You're going to have it match the subject. All right. Part 4. Actually, we talked all about part 4 in the class, but there are the answers just in case you don't remember. You can pause here and make sure you got that. And then for number 5, for part 5, I just made some examples here of what you can do for these particular sentences. Now I might not ask exactly this topic on the test. I probably will change the topic a little bit. But whatever the topic is, try to make some sentences which will match the topic. Stay on the topic. Sentence 1 should use a passive structure. Any passive structure you use will work as long as it matches the topic. I have been helped by many people here in St. George. That would be good. Number 2, use get with a participial adjective. If I ask this one, a participial adjective, that's the adjective usually in the ed style, but it could be some other participial. It's a little bit hard to think of something to use with get, but worn, for example, stolen, right? Those things could be okay. But with this particular instruction to use it with get, probably you're going to use an ed form here. I sometimes get tired of the food here. That would be a good example. Sentence 3, there's some examples I have there. Just make sure you have a nice noun clause as the subject. I'm probably going to have the verb is just to talk about exactly what was in your noun clause. Sentence 4, noun clause as an object. That's probably a bit easier one. Probably just have something like I think that, and then just have a nice little clause down there, whatever you'd like to say. I'm not sure when I will graduate. I don't know, what I can do about Right? Any of those kind of noun clauses would be okay. That, when, where, whether, if, any of those typical noun clauses. Sentence number 5, adjective clause with where or when. So if you're going to use where, make sure you're talking about some place, of course. The library is the place where I do most of my studying. If you're going to use when, it's best if you have something like is the time, or is the day when. Don't have to. You can skip this. The weekend is when I usually meet my friends. That's not so bad. But sometimes it just sounds a little bit nicer to have something like that. Sentence 6, adjective clause with which. This is really no different than what we've had before with that. I have an apartment which, right, we're describing the apartment, so it's got to be something, which is located just 1 block away from the university. Here you have a restrictive clause. I need to let you know about this apartment. This is crucial information here. Notice that I did a non-restrictive clause in the next example, which of course you're free to do. Just make sure you have the commas. My apartment, which by the way is just 1 block away from the university, is small but comfortable. Here this information is kind of by the way sort of stuff. The main sentence here can survive without it. My apartment is small but comfortable. And then sentence 7, adjective phrase. You'll have something that looks like this. I have 1 roommate studying psychology. Now this is a reduced clause. Adjective clause reduced to a phrase. This would be the complete one. I have 1 roommate who is studying psychology. But as you know, we can take away the marker, we can take away the be verb, and just leave it with the ing. That's what I want to see. You don't have to write this sentence here. I can see that. I'll be able to see that. Just write the finished product and you'll be okay. All right, that will do it. Again, if you have any questions, please contact me by email. Come visit me in my office. Good luck on the test.